fancy title of Future Ready Learning. It's basically, curriculum and instruction for San Diego Unified School District. I used to be the director of instructional technology, which, go ahead, Derek.
Oh, and so my name is Derek Suzuki. I'm the program manager for the Instructional Technology Department at San Diego Unified.
And we were kind of asked to share our story. It sounds like some people might be a little bit ahead of us. Some people might, who knows where you are, but we're going to share some of the stuff that we've done around AI for San Diego Unified School District, and then would love to continue conversations with you later. Our roadmap, started a few years ago with, the whole like, oh my gosh, ChatGPT, what the heck is it? And we've really evolved with working with our school sites. It was going out to kids are going to cheat. AI is going to take away my job. And so for those of you not familiar with San Diego Unified, we're now hovering at 179 schools. So clearly we couldn't get to all of the schools, but we started to do some professional development with the schools and to really try to embrace AI and help teachers shift the opinion from it's awful to what are we going to do about it? How are we going to embrace it? And how are we going to make our teaching and learning better? 2 summers ago, we had a big AI expo, and we invited teachers over the summer, had a couple hundred, close to 200 teachers show up for some learning. And that's where we really started to wrap our arms around some partners. AI EDU became a huge partner for San Diego Unified School District. We brought people in. And most important, we brought our classroom teachers in and kind of have started this work from the ground up. Who's doing what? How are they doing it? And just like really trying to embrace it to make our experiences for our students better. We started a one-to-one ambassadors program where, we had a one-to-one ambassadors program where we have one teacher from every school site. We bring them in for quarterly meetings. We don't have quite all 181 schools represented, but we've got about half, which is a start. And this is volunteer after school. And the last 2 years, we really started focusing on AI. So what tools are out there? Let's explore those tools. Let's bring, we did little showcases where teachers would launch how they're using AI in their classrooms and kind of like wetting the whistle of how we can use AI to improve instruction. Then we saw it really starting to spread with like a trainer of trainers model, because these one-to-one ambassadors would then go back to their school sites and they'd tell their principals, oh my gosh, we learned about AI. And then Derek and the 2 people in the instructional technology, we have 2 more than San Marcos. Yeah. So 2 people in instructional technology to support the 5,000 teachers, but they would go back and actually do some professional development for teachers around AI. And so that was like all the way leading up until this last summer, or a summer ago, where we then had another AI Expo, more teachers presenting, and just really started to get things moving with San Diego Unified through the ambassador program and the expos. So from there, AI EDU was a partner in our expo. They did amazing presentations for us. If you have not reached out to them, they're a great resource. And then from there, they really suggested that we take that next step forward and to discuss policy guidelines and what our next steps would be as a school district. And that's when we decided to start collaborating. And we started an AI task force for San Diego Unified School District. And from there, I'm going to let Derek take it over to discuss, I think, so our roadmap and what we accomplished, and stay within the chairs.
Yes, within the chairs. Okay, great. Thank you. So I think the interesting thing about this whole process with AI and how Julie was describing it is that it's one thing to be cautious about it, not address it, or you have to address it simultaneously while thinking about what is it going to look like globally. And so that was kind of the interesting quandary we were in. It's like, it's there, people are trying to use it, You want to give them some structure, but you don't have anything in place yet. And so because of that, we were doing things like Julie was mentioning, hosting all of these things with the ambassadors, going out and talking to teachers and students. But at the same time, we had to figure out, hey, what are we going to do for the district, right? What are we going to do for the public around what is AI? And so, like Julie had mentioned, working with AI EDU, we came out with the understanding that creating guidelines were probably the best way to go, because after they had talked to everyone that they had worked with around the nation, the guidelines were more flexible and more adaptable than policies. And so we were like, hey, that sounds like the way to go, and this is how we wanted to do it. And if you could see this timeline here, we were talking about the ways that we kind of approached it leading up till August 2024, which is about a year ago, a little over a year, where we gathered a lot of our stakeholders together to create a task force around understanding what AI is, getting some understanding for what other people are doing in other districts, and then coming up with a set of guidelines. And so that work started in 2024 August. Our task force was made up of about 65 people, 65 different members and stakeholders, not only from our district, but outside of our district. And in our district, we didn't just include teachers and administrators and we also included the people from different departments in our central office. So people from HR, people from all different departments, because we realized that AI is not just something that's going to affect our classrooms, but it affects every aspect of the organization. And including that was AI EDU as well. And you can also see that we did have a representative from San Diego County Ed. We had students and parents, and the rest of the people there. So it was a really great group in terms of like the way that we were able to diversify the people that were in it. And based on our work, we again had a foundational understanding. Thank you to AI EDU, they helped us a lot with that. We gave everybody a kind of a knowledge base to draw on. And then we figured that we wanted to create guidelines on these different topic groups, which is like the acceptable use for all of these sort of students, educators, around wellness, and then family and community engagement, and then operations, and then data governance. And of course, throughout all of these, data privacy, obviously is one of the through lines, but you're going to notice that we tried to touch on as many groups as we thought possible. So what ended up happening was our task force divided into work groups, and they individually looked and researched all of this different guidelines and work that people have done around the country. AI EDU, again, was very helpful in that, in gathering all of the information. And then we came out with our guideline work. And then from there, if we're looking at our timeline, and it was on the back timeline, but we also included an AI town hall. So as we started doing this work in December of 2024, we held, along together with we're instructional tech, which is one IT, and then we have our integrated tech, which is the back end guys, that's the other IT. In cooperation with them and our family engagement office, we held an AI town hall so that we can inform the public of what we were doing. And so that was happening in December. And as you can see on our timeline here, we had a draft guidelines early around maybe about January or February of 2025. And then we created that draft, and we put it out for revisions as well. Put it out for feedback. And then we were getting some revision work done and building awareness. And this is where things got a little interesting, but I'll digress to that in a second. So with the guidelines work, we came up with originally 5 overarching guidelines. And then with the revisions and everything that came back, we kind of expanded it to 7. Now, if you read our document, in which case it is linked here, if you read through our document, it is still a draft form. These 7 overarching guidelines that we have created are very early in the document. But following that, we have the individual groups that I had shown earlier, and those go more into actionable steps that people can follow if you're within those groups. But going back really quickly to our timeline here, things went a little different. And I kind of going to pass it back to Julie about how we were supposed to have these guidelines in front of, kind of getting approved in front of everything and moving forward by the end of last year. But then there was a bump in the road. And I'll let Julie.
Oh, I'm doing the bump?
You're doing the bump.
I think I need that.
No, okay.
Okay, so we, going back to just kind of how we worked through the guidelines, I wanted to make it really clear how having subgroups work on each of those guidelines really gave ownership to the people in our school district, right? So it wasn't the districts putting these guidelines on you. We, since our new superintendent, have been very student-centered and school site and teacher-student focused. So with these subgroups actually designing the guidelines, it aligned nicely with our district focus of we don't do things to schools, we do things with schools. So I think that collaboration piece is super important. So we were ready to present our guidelines to leadership, and then our deputy superintendent sent this email out and said, there's a new CSBA policy, California School Board Association policy. We want to move forward with policy and get that district adopted. And Derek and I, for the most part, had been like, oh, that's interesting, because we weren't going to do policy. We were just going to have guidelines to support our students. So we scrambled to work on the CSBA policy. The CSBA policy was, so this is a full stop in our work right now, but the CSBA policy was supposed to be approved by the board this evening. Friday morning or Thursday night, I received a text from our deputy superintendent saying that the board agenda item was pulled because there's now California Teacher Association language that has gone out. And so our San Diego Educators Association would now like to bargain our AI policy. So there's our little bump, and there's been a lot of bumps in the road. It's funny when we talked about doing this presentation, because we were going to be like, oh my gosh, yay, the policy is going to be approved tonight at the board meeting. Then we're going to get our guidelines and publish those, and life's going to be amazing. So, we're rolling with the punches, and we are going to, we're meeting this week with the negotiations team that's working on the bargaining, and we're going to see where that leads us. But we do think that we're at least progressing in the right way. Our superintendent is very invested in looking at AI and where we're headed. She has a lot of ideas and is bringing people together, our student advisory board together. So once we get through all of the Educator Association and the policy and the board hiccups, we're really looking forward to seeing how AI will transform how we do things, looking at our curriculum pieces that we already purchased and how AI is going to be impacting that. So did I leave anything out?
No, and you can go to the last.
Oh, I can go to the next slide.
Or the last slide.
Okay.
You don't need the mic and the mic.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Thank you. I'm just, I don't have enough voice here.
And just to add on to Julie's thing is that, when we're trying to think about how you build a house, right? It's like you have the foundational pieces. We're like, oh yes, okay, so we have our guidelines. That's going to be our foundation. And then, here comes this policy. I guess the policy goes under those guidelines because we have to reference the policy in our guidelines, right? So for those, districts that are looking to get these things done, it seems like we always try to do the right thing, but then there's always another layer that seems to be added, or there's another thing. So perseverance is definitely the word for the day, and we're just kind of trying to find our way as well. But I did want to say, whenever we go out to sites to talk to teachers or whoever we're talking to, the number one thing that we're trying to make sure that they understand is transparency is number one. The parents that were on our task force, they want to know what their child is doing with AI. They want to know what tools are affecting their child. And so, regardless, and just to give you a little bit of an insight into our district as well, because of our large district, a lot of our schools have a lot of autonomy in what tools they use and how they use them. And so, trying to make sure that whatever tool they're using, they're communicating with their community, they're communicating with their parents, and giving them. And there's real quick funny stories that the parent that was giving us a lot of this feedback, saying, "Yeah, I want to know exactly what tool my child is using, and I need to know what the teacher's doing." I said, "Oh, that's so great." It's like expecting this parent to say, "Oh yeah, it's ninth grade, 10th grade, or whatever." What grade is your kid? And it's like, he's a kindergartner. I'm like, okay, yes, we can definitely do that. But it's the mindset, though, the parent is, he knows what's coming down the pipe, right? He knows what's going to be happening for his child. And so understanding that mindset of a parent thinking that far down the road, or understanding, he might not even use it as the kindergartner, but that's what's important. That's really what's important for the parents. So just kind of communicating that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Oh, question?
So when I tell you guys later that the new level is AI fluency, not AI literacy, is that going to put another layer on for you?
It definitely. Oh, so the question was AI fluency versus AI literacy, and the way that we addressed it. It probably will. I mean, we're still in the process of revision, and the one good thing about having those guidelines. I mean, the policy. Really, what we're looking at is it's a legal standing that the board can point to, right? This is what legally we're saying. But the guidelines in the reason why they wanted us to adopt it is because it's flexible and it is adaptable. So, based on that, adapting it to, reflect the AI fluency goals, I think that would be a really.
And I think the guidelines now are just a starting point, right? Like and it's not like what you can't do, don't do this. It's how to use it correctly. And I think it's only going to get better moving forward. Like, how do you use it to impact math, to impact science, for directly supporting students here? We're not there yet. It's basically just giving principals, parents, and teachers just something to ground themselves on like how you should be using it appropriately. So it's almost like that appropriate use, and then now moving into like what's really cool and what can really shift the way we do school. So I don't think we're there yet.
And if the policy had passed tonight or had gone forward tonight, our next steps were to reconvene the AI task force under a new name, which case it was going to be something that revolves around the guidelines, but also around our superintendent's initiative around how can we use AI to support student learning in innovative ways. But within that, one of the things that was on our agenda with that group is to establish a schedule to return to these guidelines and revise them as needed. So it would be an ongoing revision process or an analysis of what's new out there and how can we address that in our guidelines, not just a static document.
Right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
My multiple microphone.